This will be a great view. Yes, you record away.
All right, we're recording. All right. So what's the first topic you want to start with, Ernie? You want to talk about how just the gun industry has reacted to all the panic buying from COVID?
Well, yeah, we don't have to start with that, but now that you already said it, yeah, and I don't know if we should call it panic buying or not, and that's the thing is, we're doing this weeks and weeks after all this started, but in the beginning, you go back 2 months ago and remember, what were we all being told by the government, about how bad it was going to be. And
don't wear a mask. They said you don't need a mask.
Oh, and then you don't need a mask. And then, you had the CDC, that lead guy saying, don't waste masks by having civilians wear them. Right. So it's been interesting, man. It definitely was the biggest burst of business I've seen that consumed up all the goods, but unlike, you can go back to very famous things like Sandy Hook, and it's sad that the gun industry can remember different spikes in business by different disasters and horrible things, right? Like, whether it was Sandy Hook or, there was a huge influx when President Obama won office the first time, right before that. And then there was, so you have these huge spikes every time somebody talks about gun control or something, but this was different because when I say it's real, anybody to think that, when I tell everybody, there's a difference between I respect the virus, I just don't live in fear, if that makes any sense. So, I went to work every day because I can. I like to work, just like Mike said, I want to work. And the gun business was deemed essential by the federal government, obviously Department of Homeland Security and all that, but let alone, that was the other thing is Iowa. In Iowa, we have a law. Thank you, Iowa Firearms Coalition. In Iowa, we have a law that says, hey, you can't close the gun store unless you close all other businesses. So from the get-go, I wasn't going to have to really worry about closing, but I was going to have to worry about butting heads with, whether you want to call it the authorities or whatever. Because early in the game, we had the Marion Police Department come along to us and say, hey, you can't have this many people here, or you can't do that. And I'm like, well, we got to come to some kind of understanding because I'm not going to close. So, but they were nice about it. I get it. Like I remind everybody is we already know, even though we don't know everything yet, we know more than we did a couple months ago, so, but the thing is, everybody bought everything up. Everybody talks about the knee-jerk reaction in the gun industry, but hey, there's manufacturers that are closed right now. There's distributors that are closed. So the supply chain has been affected like never before, and it's not going to be better like right away. It's not over.
So you're still under, like, what's the right word?
Under supply.
Still back order and everything like that.
Big time.
Ordering stuff for our ambulance service, and I don't know if we talked about this last podcast or not, but I'll talk about it anyway. I ordered N95 masks on February 3rd. It's I kind of saw this coming. They're still not here.
No.
And they're projected not to be here till sometime this summer because they've diverted all that stuff to the federal government, and we're just never going to get it.
Yeah, for my day job, I mean, that's what I was doing was I was working with suppliers and getting masks to China to keep our operations going there. So I had a daily call with 3M, and then we were working things out and getting small units to come in. But as soon as the federal government as soon as Mike Pence sends them the order to say, hey, for the next X amount of millions of masks, they're for the government and then also for the UN. And it's like, so everyone else can take a back seat. Once we got that letter, I was like, ooh, it's going to be, and that was the very beginning of February. So from then on out, 3M in the U.S. was directed that all of those masks are going to the government and then also the UN,
little squirrel story, like, because we always do that. But so a lot of people are donating masks, like, because they're great people and they have things. Our ambulance service got a donation from a friend of mine who's Chinese, and her parents for our ambulance service. I'm like, somehow that's
that's cool. Yeah. About who you know, right?
But so is the stuff for your store been diverted anyway, or it's just like in short supply?
No, it's not diverted. It's just the lack of supply. And you know, funny you mentioned that story. So you guys are both familiar with the name brand Holosun. You know, I always tell everybody when they say, what kind of red dot should I get? Well, you know, buy a Holosun unless you can afford to buy something twice as much, and then buy a Trichcon MRO or Aimpoint or whatever. But it's going to be interesting wondering, when will products get here from China now? You know, there's a lot of people, as you know, that say, you know, screw China, I'm not buying anything made there anymore. And that's fine. I get it. But you also need to buy $600 red dots then.
Right. So. That makes me, you know, it kind of comes to a lot of different things is, you know, because of this whole thing with China and the coronavirus, it's like, when do you think that manufacturing, because we got so reliant on China because of that cheap labor, when do you think that's going to go either back to the U.S. or maybe to another place that this way it's dual, right? You're not reliant on one. There's no single point of failure.
Yeah, but that brings up a good point, though. Everybody's, you know, bring back essential manufacturing to the U.S. and like, I get it, right? But what's essential? Are, you know, sights, are optics essential, or are people going to like not want to pay $600 and they'll accept that, or what are they going to do?
It's gonna be interesting how the market kind of turns after this. Just kind of see where, I mean, what people are actually going to do. I know a lot of people do a lot of talking, but it's usually done with the wallet or your feet. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's you know, we're a couple months into this now, and so when you can't get, like, today was one of the, you know, few days, but you know, we ran out of 9mm full metal jacket not too long after we opened, and you know, there's no more to put out, and I got no more showing up on a FedEx truck or anything on a Saturday. So it's like every day we just kind of wait like kids at Christmas, because the shipping's so bad. It's so messed up that, you know, one of our main distributors that a lot of gun dealers use in this country, they're 21 to 28 days behind in shipping. So these days, stuff's coming in. I'm like, no, I kind of remember ordering this, but get things. I know people say, well, I saw something from here or there. I saw, you know, Tyson's has today or whatever, but, and that's what people are going to do. You're just going to have to buy it where you can find it for a while. I'm definitely not offended. I got to do the same thing for things I want to buy.
So that kind of brings up just a thought, you know, and I was thinking about this today, because I've been out the range for a while since this whole thing started, and I've got my basic stock of ammunition, and I don't reload like you do, Eric. I mean, maybe I should, but I just don't have the tools or the space to do it, right?
Yeah.
So
you don't have time. You don't have time to do it.
Should we be practicing? Should we be? What's that?
Yeah. Time.
Should we be practicing on this stuff, or should we like hoard our ammo and do dry fire, or what should people be doing to like continue to train to the best of their ability during this time?
So here's what I learned from 2012, right? When the whole shortage, one of the shortages, right, kind of kicked off. What I did was I waited until supply came in, and then I bought an abundance amount of ammo, or for the ammo that I do reload, components. But that was way back when, and then, you know, I got complacent because I'd be real good about reordering it and keeping it stocked, and then just got complacent there for a while. And when this happened, luckily, you know, Ernie was able to hook me up with some primers, and I had a whole bunch of powder and, you know, projectiles, but I didn't have anything really loaded. So I was like, oh, I don't have cases prepped or anything. So I was like, ooh, you know, so I kind of was a little fortunate. But what I did for training wise was, in 2012, I bought 22 conversion kits for my AR and for my Glock, and I bought cases and cases of 22, and that's kind of what I've been doing when I go to the range, shooting a lot of 22, because I have tens of thousands of rounds of that now. And I'm just like, hey, I can afford to go through that, rather than, eating up my 9 or my 223.
Yeah, I know it's not optimal, and
Yep.
we don't recommend it in place of, but
Right.
I just don't have time right now to get to the range, even more, less than I did before. I've been doing a lot of driving.
Yeah, I forget I think it was on the last podcast. I said that probably 70 to 75% of what I do is dry fire, because I can make it to the range maybe once or twice on a good month, but I can dry fire for 30 minutes in my basement every other night or every night or whatever it is, especially now that I can't do jiu-jitsu at night. I'm reloading or dry firing. So I'm taking that time and just putting it to something else. So
I haven't done any of that. How's that for the truth?
It's okay, man. It's okay. No judging.
I don't, Clint today's Saturday, whatever, but Clint's like, you want to go shooting tomorrow on your day off? I'm like, I don't want anything to do with guns on my day off. Nothing. Like, I don't even want to do anything. I want to sit on the couch and flip through Netflix. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So,
and
that's like I said, is I feel very gracious to have a job, and I've tried not to whine too much really about how much I've worked, but it's like, I'm exhausted. I'm mentally and physically exhausted. So I don't want to do anything on my day off. And I would tell somebody else in my same boat that that's okay. So,
oh yeah.
I've been watching so much Netflix and Amazon Prime over the last 2 months that I'm currently watching a series that came out on Showtime in 2003, but it's pretty good. So I've never seen it before.
Have you watched Billions yet?
I'll put it on my list.
It's good. You'll like it. So we can stop talking about that if we want, and then talk about what happened to our neighbors of the north.
Oh, the gun ban?
Yeah, in Canada.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see, once again, it's a knee-jerk reaction that doesn't solve stopping violent behavior. But so when I say I get it, we all get it, because they believe that getting rid of the tool gets rid of the anger or the hate or the evil that stops that. But it's a sad deal. It's 22 dead in 3 days or whatever, over the span of 1 day or something.
Yeah, like a 24-hour. I did a little reading. I mean, I saw the initial news reports. Then I kind of quit paying attention to it. But I read up a little bit on it when Eric mentioned we might talk about it. And so according to the stuff I saw, just like always, we've heard this a million times, the guy that actually did the crime and killed himself or was killed by police, I can't remember which, didn't even obtain those guns legally. So this ban and all this crap wouldn't have stopped him anyway.
No. It's those things where it's, I think, Ernie, you brought this up when you went to one of the town hall meetings where, hey, what's a law that you can think of that'll actually stop a crime, right? And they couldn't give you one. And then I think you were asked, well, how many gun laws are on the books now? I don't think they could give you an answer on that one either. And it's like, so why do you want to add more if you don't know, one, how many you have and what they all do?
Or name one that works.
Exactly. So to me, it's one of those things where it's, like you said, it's a knee-jerk reaction, and I want to know what that compliance is going to look like too. We know what happened in Australia when they banned that. I think there was just a handful of guns that were turned in the first 90 days. So I mean, it's you can make a law, but who's going to enforce it and who's going to comply?
Was there Australia? I was thinking New Zealand was just a couple of years ago, right?
Oh yeah, New Zealand, not Australia. My bad. That one happened a long time ago.
Yep. JC, all of a sudden, I get all this noise. John looks like I don't know if John's filming a snuff film or something, or a murder mystery.
Say he's got he puts the lotion on the skin look going on.
I had to take a shower. I hadn't done that in a while.
Yes.
How's it going here?
All right.
I like the fact that the three guys that usually are looking pretty clean shaven and friggin' all nice are starting to get a little scruffy, whereas I had to get rid of my scruffiness.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But you kept the mustache though, so that's good.
That's the war stash, man. I've had that since like 1995. That's never going away.
Yeah.
He can fit his mustache in a mask.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, John, we were just talking about Canada and kind of what just happened there.
So it sounded like there wasn't even it wasn't even passed through Parliament. It was just like the
executive order.
Yeah, Trudeau just said, "Yep, this is what it is." So yeah,
that's what happens when you don't have that stuff written into, like the whatever their version of Constitution is. I don't know what it is up in Canada. And that's why
I don't think they have anything like that.
It's pretty unfortunate that Iowa doesn't have it written into our state constitution, because
we got close.
Technically, I suppose they could try that here.
They could try it,
yeah. I think you'd get a different result, but you're right, Mike. They could try it, but it's kind of interesting when they, people. I like watching them say, why do we need it in our state constitution if it's already federal? I'm like, well, even we have all these other laws that are like that. So, domestic violence, you can't own a gun by federal law. Domestic violence, but the state of Iowa says that they need that too, just like many other state and federally backed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when this is all over, we'll be able to look back on this podcast in a year and say, what was the long-term effect of the coronavirus versus what they said? How much did it wipe out our country economically and cause, mass depression and suicide? And also a year from now, we can see if Canada magically has no violence. So only truly there's times that only time will tell.
Yep. And kind of lessons learned from it. Like I know, I've had a lot of friends that weren't anti-gun, but just really didn't see the need for one. And now all of a sudden asking me what to get, where to get it from, training.
Can they borrow one?
I was like, hey, I can't buy a pistol, but can I borrow a shotgun or a rifle? Or it's just like, it's a lot of asking. I was like, just go get your permit, man. Just go take the class, take a CCW class, learn something. And then, unfortunately, then you have to wait, so.
Yeah, it's in the gun world, we both know there's those people that they somewhat are sarcastic, or they're like, well, it's funny now you can't get a gun. Maybe you'll think about gun laws, but I get it. But it's also, like many people pointed out, it's a great time to reach out to those people and say, this is why I'm passionate about the Second Amendment, events like this.
Yeah, because then you're going to have an influx of new gun owners too. And you kind of need to not like take them under your wing, but you kind of point them in the right direction and say, hey, here's some good tips for, just starting out, maybe, get used to your holster, drawing from your holster, not just going to the range and just going, ham on a target. Actually go with like a plan and kind of, take advantage of that time, and especially if you're new.
Yeah, I've had I'm kind of the same boat, Eric. I've had 2, maybe 3. I feel like there's 3, but 2 for sure. People in the last month that I've given guidance to on what guns to buy, who to get a hold of, what the I talked the guy through. I don't think they ever thought of it.
No, I think a lot of people really truly thought you could just go to a gun store and just pick it up. And I think a lot of people.
People thought that.
Yeah. So, to me, it's a good learning experience for kind of everybody, for people that never, 1, bought a gun, actually know how to buy a gun now, or 2, they might have a friend that's, that was like, oh, you can just get a gun. Now they can say, oof, actually, when this pandemic happened, I had to do X, Y, and Z and then wait X amount of days before I can even go pick up a gun. So,
or wait a month to get a permit.
Yeah. I have a lot of people that are like, oh, I took it, or a couple people are like, oh, I forgot to, I let it lapse. What do I do now? It's like, well,
Start sending emails.
Yeah, exactly.
I think with stuff like, well, toilet paper and food and stuff like that, like having a little extra stash in the basement. I think all that kind of stuff is like, oh yeah, you can't always just get what you need when you need it. So it might not hurt to have a little bit extra, stashed away. Yeah, because like we'll keep week or two worth of food or something like that in the basement. But when I actually the toilet paper was one that like when we buy toilet paper, usually we'll buy it in like a big bulk pack. But we had never really like kept any stashed away just in case we could get it. And it was one of those things where I was like, oh yeah, we should probably maybe have a little extra in the basement or something just in case.
Well, you're kind of the same boat with me with little kids. Like I know, like I had a couple rolls of TP, but I had a whole case of wipes. So I was like, hey, worst comes to worst, you got it. So.
Spoil yourself. You have lighter fluid in the background, John. I like that.
Oh yeah. my Zippo's not here. It's upstairs.
Yes. You're a big Zippo user. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should always have extra lighter fluid.
I started talking. I forgot I got myself on mute because my wife tends to come in here when I'm on Zoom and just start talking real loud. At least I'm muted so you guys won't interrupt. So
that's funny.
But I got to hit the space bar to talk, and sometimes I forget.
Did you also see I have a box of 38 special that was $4.74?
But you know how much? Think about how much money that was in the '60s when that box is from.
Yep.
That box is from the '60s. Yeah.
That's one for my dad. Yeah.
Yeah. Think about that. What was the hourly wage?
Yeah.
Then.
I have that came out of a deer I got.
Bambi killer.
Yeah.
Well, minimum wage when I started working was $3.15 an hour, and that was in the 80s. Or late 70s.
Late 70s, okay. Yeah. I can, that's how we age ourselves, Mike. I can remember when I was excited when I hit $5 an hour working full time. I was like, hey, I'm going to have enough to pay rent. I'm making $5 an hour. So
I was talking to a kid the other day about going in the military, and he's talking about this and that job and that and this. And he's like, yeah, this one's got a $40,000 bonus. I'm like, that's probably a good bonus. I said, I got a bonus to go in for 4 years for $5,000.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are let me ask you guys, since even though the whole world will see this, what did you personally learn about your preparedness at home that you weren't as prepared as you thought?
Well, I'll go first because I talked to you about it, like the food situation, right?
Yeah.
Luckily, I had just bought like a quarter of a cow, or an eighth of a cow, and I had a pig on order, but I wasn't thinking about stocking up. I just wanted to get some meat that was cheaper. And since we've been the last 2 months when I've been at home, I've been making stuff, just I planted a garden, like all this kind of stuff, right? That I never really did before.
Yeah. And honestly, I don't have a magic window, and I'm not a naysayer, but I know a lot of people. I've been in business for 20 years and I've lived in this area since 1991. And there's a lot of people a lot smarter than I am that are involved in, whether it's farming or literally the food chain and everything else, to where I don't think it's as bad as it's not as bad as it's going to get. That's the thing about that. So
Mm-hmm.
It's going to get worse instead of better.
And so one thing I was thinking about, so at the end of last year, beginning of this year, when we had the big containers of the freeze dried food at the shop, I grabbed a couple of those, and I had 2 already that I'd gotten from my wife and I, as like trying to have basically enough food for like a week or something if we needed to, and then have water to go along with it if we had to prep it. But so since we had the kids, I hadn't gotten any more, and so I grabbed those 2, and I was thinking about it, and I was like we were blowing out that food at the end of the year. And
how many customers remember that I had 30% off Wise Food?
Yeah, if we had that in March, Yeah.
Oh man.
We flown off the shelf. Because like so I went and looked. When we started having trouble getting stuff from distributors, I went and looked, and all of our distributors they got cleaned up. That's just funny. Where like 2 months before, we were blowing it out dirt cheap because it wasn't really selling as much as we would have liked, and and a couple months go by, and all of a sudden it's no one has it, can't stock it because it's flying off the shelves so fast.
Yeah, still can't get it. I mean, I know somebody will say, "Well, I found some online," but I mean, our distributors, like you're saying, John, a lot of times, I was talking to Eric about this today, is people don't grasp how much money, how much product is sitting at some of our distributors on any normal given day. You take Wise Food and say, well, they had a couple $1 million worth just sitting there on a Tuesday or whatever, millions of dollars worth, and it's gone, and they've never had it since. And they're just one distributor.
Well, that's because of that's because of the logistical supply chain in the United States. I mean, this is going back about 10 years to my time in the transportation industry. But even then, 2005 to 2010, when I was working there, they upgraded the supply chain. They went away from like big distribution centers to building these distribution centers within 500 miles of like large urban hubs, and going to just-in-time shipping, which is basically like, Walmart has 2 days worth of product, and then every 2 days they get another shipment. Well, if people come in and buy 2 days worth of stuff in one day, then they're kind of screwed, and that's what's happening.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat with the food. Like we got little kids now. We always go to Sam's or whatever and get buy things usually in bulk, and I had a whole freezer full of deer meat. But I mean, so we were somewhat prepared for a majority of this stuff. Luckily we had just gone to Sam's. I think 2 weeks before that bought a big case of toilet paper, and so I got lucky with all that stuff. But I mean, just for the couple, you have little kids, so they're kind of picky with what they eat. So I was like, oh man, we only had like a couple boxes of macaroni left and a few things like that. And I'm like, oh, it might not hurt since I know they eat it a lot, just buy extras of it just in case. So that was a big thing.
Yeah.
I honestly haven't been to the store in like about a month. My wife goes to get out of the house. That's her like one place she can go. Those are closed. Is stuff coming back on the shelf, or is it like last sometimes there, sometimes it's empty? Like you'll have bread, but you don't have like.
Yeah.
It's better, but it still runs out here and there. You still see people posting all over Facebook, like, hey, I was in such and such store and they have lots of toilet paper. It's I think when a lot of people get the same time off of work or the same day off of work, or it probably ebbs and flows. But it's I laugh when you say there's one kind of bread, Mike. That's called growing up in my age. When I was when you were a kid, there was two choices, and at home it's whatever the choice you were given, and that's it. So.
Yeah.
You get Wonder Bread or a Wish sandwich, right? I'll tell you one place that's like, besides the firearms industry, I'm telling you one place, that place was every Dairy Queen in Cedar Rapids had a line out to the street last night.
Yeah.
Because I wanted ice cream and I had to wait a long time. And I went to like 3 different places.
Oh, wow.
I bought the Tasty Freeze. It's their version of
oh yeah,
like whatever Dairy Queen calls
Blizzard.
What are they? Nutter Butter bars or whatever. They're like a chocolate peanut butter parfait on a stick.
Yeah.
I went to Tasty Freeze and bought 25 of those a couple weeks ago, so we would, have our essentials to get by.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at the Freeze tonight, or this afternoon. Took the kids over and did the drive-through and got some stuff and brought it home. Yeah.
You guys
the night I went
through there, you guys are way smarter than me.
The night I went through there was 3 like teenage girls working there. John, you probably see, there's always like high school kids working there, and there was only a couple cars in line. So when I got up the window, I'm like, hey, you know, those things have a stick in them, and, you know, you guys make them with Oreos and caramel. And she's like, yeah. I said, do you have plenty of those? She's like, oh yeah, we have lots. She's like, how many do you want? I'm like, how many do you have? And she's like, I think we probably have 50. And I'm like, well, I'll take 25. And she's like, are you kidding me? And so it was like $70 or whatever. And the funny thing was, she's like, this is the largest order I've ever rang up at once in my life. And, you know, when you work at Tasty Freeze, that might be true. But I kind of leaned in there and looked. I'm like, so, you know, there's just 3 of you here. Probably sounded like a creeper. You know, I'm like, you got 3 employees here, right? And she's like, yeah. And I said, well, I'm glad this is on video, because they got that video camera at that window. And I gave them all $20 a piece as a tip, because we know that, you know, things aren't normal. And even though they might not make a lot of tips at the freeze, but they get, you know, 50 cents here, $1 there, but a lot more often. So I gave them $20 a piece. It was kind of funny. So try to tip people when they can. I've been doing a lot of tipping. So
yeah, I'm sure they appreciated the stimulus check you just gave them, because they probably didn't get one.
Yeah. I don't know what a stimulus check is.
So yeah, I've been doing a lot of tipping, you know, a lot of local restaurants, and just, you know, if they're open and delivering or whatever, just, you know, I've eaten out a lot more than I have been. That's for sure. Just eating locally and trying to support who we can. And so
eat a lot. So
that's funny, Eric, because I'm actually the opposite. My wife even mentioned tonight, she goes, we were eating dinner, and you know, 2 months ago, I couldn't even tell you the last time I ate at my kitchen table.
Oh, really?
And because I usually eat at the counter after I get home and everybody else is in bed, or I'm not home at all, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And we've been eating together as a family, like meals that I actually cook because I got time. And we haven't done that in a long time. So we're kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a good side effect.
Out more, I think, than we usually do.
Yeah.
But yeah, our gas bills have gone down, but our grocery and restaurant bills have gone up. So it's kind of evened out.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, $1 or something, $1.20 gas. Haven't seen that in a long time.
Yeah, I was filling up my gas tank 2 or 3 times a week to go to Waterloo to work every day. I filled up my gas tank 1 time in about a month and a half.
Yeah.
Because I just haven't been driving anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty nice. Kind of. I'm getting pretty comfortable working from home now. It's going to be tough to get me back into the office.
Yeah, some of the productivity. Probably gone up for some companies.
So where the school I teach at, they're planning on going back to in-person sessions sometime this summer. They haven't really said yet, but they're, you know, they got a plan for the time when we'll be able to get back together. And they're going to require us to wear masks at work.
Oh, really?
Yep. This is just my thoughts, and we can talk about it. And, you know, this is my opinion. I make my wife wear a mask when she goes out because she's high risk. I don't wear one. I mean, I wear one at work. I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Right.
But, like, when I'm out in public, I don't wear one because I think it's a lot like open carry or the TSA. It's a feel-good measure that's not doing anything.
Yeah.
And it just irritates the crap out of me because I got, like, for instance, I go to the coffee store, through the drive-thru. One guy's wearing a T-shirt where he cut ear holes in it, and then 3 people next to him aren't wearing anything. So what good is that T-shirt with the ear holes? Yeah. It's not doing anything. It's dumb. Like, I mean, what do you guys think about that?
So what I had seen, or so I was actually one of the people I was talking to from the shop was a nurse, and what they had mentioned was if you have 2 people that both have masks on, in that case, it does lower it. If the person that's sick has the mask on, that is more helpful. If you have a mask on, no, the other person is sick, like the mask isn't going to really stop stuff if someone is close to you and talking to you and then
coming
sick.
out.
Yeah, like what? It's not going to stop what's coming out. It's if the person that's sick has it on, then that's more helpful. Or if you both have one, it's helpful.
Yeah.
So that's the theory I think, like, hey, if everybody wears a mask, then, you know, we'll catch all the sick people.
Right.
However, it's not so it's tough, right? You can't make it mandatory.
Right.
And I probably wouldn't do it anyway. If they said you have to wear a mask, I'd be
Don't
like,
tell me what
whatever,
to do.
I do what I want. Right, exactly. I do what I want. But it's just, I just think it's kind of a feel-good measure that's really, unless everybody wears. And the other thing, like, you got me on my soapbox now. Like,
let's do it.
Those T-shirts and friggin' bandanas and, like, even the surgical masks, you're exactly right, John. They're not going to stop anything. But it'd be better than nothing if everybody was wearing one, right? But it's gotten so bad. I mean, how many times have you guys, I know you guys have all seen this, somebody's got an N95 mask on in their car, and they're the only one in the car.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
To me, it's just a bunch of people that had either, like, one, or just got a bunch of misinformation, or two, just that worried about getting sick, where they just everywhere. Like, people wearing the masks and the gloves and stuff, and it's like the gloves aren't really going to do much for you as long as you're not touching your face. And so it's because even if you touch it and then touch your face, it's on the gloves that's touching you. So it's like, why have some people just going overboard with it? But I mean,
cross contamination is as soon as you touch something else, then it's useless.
Yep.
And you know, to reuse those masks, you got to we have a whole procedure, right?
Yeah.
People just wearing them and not using them correctly, it's not doing anything for them other than, it's not doing anything more than just wearing nothing would do.
Right. Exactly.
JC, what's your opinion?
So I have been wearing one when I've been going out and about, but it's one of those things where, like, if I'm going to the shop, right, I'll get out of my car, I'll put my mask on, I'll go in, come out. Same thing at the office. They want us to wear them at the office. So, but if I'm sitting at my desk working, I don't have it on because there's no one else around me, so I'm not going to do it. But if I'm moving, going somewhere, then I'll throw it on. And it's I don't know that it's all that effective.
You got little kids too. That's the difference. You know, whether it is or not. In my mind, it's a difference because you have little kids. So I'm not making fun of you. I know you've
there's been zero cases of fatalities from this disease, or even that, but zero
really
in the United States, or at least in Iowa. Like, maybe I'm speaking out my ass. It's super low, but in Iowa, it's definitely zero.
It's. And then I think the main people that it's like, obviously you see the things where it's someone in their 30s, but a lot of pre-existing conditions, either respiratory or heart related, and they're the ones that end up in the hospital. But I think it's only like really deadly if you're over 85, or you have like
99% of the people that have died in New York have had pre-existing condition or over, like you said. Already. And I'm not saying that's acceptable, but it is what it is.
Right.
And have you guys heard of Test Iowa?
Yeah.
So they want to test everybody, blah, blah, blah. But you go on their site, and if you're not sick, you don't qualify. Yeah. Once again, more friggin' security theater.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Because I went in there, I'm like, I'll get tested because I actually think I had it in February. Yeah. Or January, sorry. And I don't qualify because I don't feel sick. And I'm not around anybody that feels sick. Right. So
yeah. My wife, she swears, our kids had something because they both got tested for influenza A and influenza B and strep and came back negative, but they were sick for like almost a week and a half. They're just, sick, high fevers, hard to control it. And it wasn't, influenza or whatever. So my wife swears they had something.
Got it.
Yeah. I'm quite sure it was in the United States earlier, and my little rant there about masks is probably going to give me a lot of hate mail from – I'm straddling the fence here between, America is liberty folks, who I totally support, and all my healthcare peeps, who some of them are like, if you don't wear a mask, you're killing kittens. And it's like I just don't know where that in the middle is, right? Yeah. I think we're a little overboard on some of it.
Yeah, I think it's more of an little overreaction than anything. But I mean, at least like some people are wanting to do something, so whatever gives them hope.
Yeah. Well, and it's for certain things, like if it'll allow us to do things like if I can go teach someone at the range or something like that, and if they're willing to do it because we both put masks on, then it's like, well, yeah, I'll put a mask on so we can go do our training or do whatever, if that's what it takes to do certain things, then okay. But yeah, how effective it actually is.
So I mean, I get that, and I totally agree with you. I mean, sometimes we're gonna have to make concessions.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? Here's another question for you. How do you think stuff's going to change going forward? They're going to wave their magic wand at some point and say, oh, everybody's good to go.
Yeah.
But people are going to be like, are we really? And like, how's that going to change how everyday life is going to be?
I think places too, like Hong Kong or bigger cities in China,
they
places like that
wear the mask.
where they all wear a mask.
Yeah.
And I think there was even like a news story that I'd heard early on where they were like praising these areas because they're like, oh yeah, they're just so used to always wearing masks that, it helps them out with this. And I was like, what? That's not a good thing, right? Because they're always wearing masks because their air is just like toxic. Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, do we really want to get to the point where everyone is wearing a mask always when you go out public? Or to me it doesn't seem like a great way to go about it. But
culture too.
I just roll the dice and go with it.
Well, I mean, it's part of our culture, like I said, right? So using the Asian countries and us, their societies are more used to being more of a hierarchical, teamwork. We do it a central authority kind of says, right? And that's just the way their culture is. And ours is, I mean, Americans love being like, don't tell me what to do. Like we're laughing about it. Like, so it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
I saw your funny memes you posted a while back about that, Mike.
Yeah.
Isn't there,
it's funny.
Isn't there the one with the guy crouched down with a rifle behind the car, said, I was willing to stay inside and watch Netflix, but you had to go and be an asshole about it.
That's right. Like that's the way most people are, right? If you suggest them, like John said, right? If you suggest to them, hey, if you guys want to come take a class, we suggest you wear a mask. Right. That's different than, hey, you can't have classes unless you wear a mask. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Screw you guys.
Yeah, I was pretty hot when I found out that they shut the range down for a day, and then it came back and was like, oh, we're fine now.
Yeah, they were. They were. When I say they were misinformed, they were trying to do what they thought they were supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I talked to Joel, and I'm like, hey, Joel, it's already been very much made clear in other states, and shooting ranges are an extension of the shooting industry or the shooting world, which has been deemed essential, and you're good to go. And then he's like, okay, cool. So I mean, there were problems, but virus went into Sunshine Gun Range, which that's one of those other things. All I know about this, I'm not Mike, I don't have a medical background, but I know when you watch things and you have United States government scientists saying, oh, it only lasts about 90 seconds to 2 minutes before it dies in UV rays out in sunlight. It sounds like to me, outside's way safer than being inside around people. So,
yeah,
kind of like closing the beaches down in California makes no sense.
Yeah.
Well, in Florida,
they did. There was like an outdoor skateboard park in California, and they filled it all in with sand.
Yeah.
And then what ended up happening was the guys that rode BMX bikes came in and were like, oh, sweet, now we're gonna ride BMX bikes.
Yeah.
Adapt and overcome.
Exactly.
Remember I told you guys my wife likes to come out and make a lot of noise? She's decided that right now during our podcast is a good time to clean out the fridge.
I can't hear it.
She's flipped me off.
I hear dog toenails going by on the hardwood floors walk outside the door. Or my wife will laugh. The not real hardwood floors that look like hardwood floors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be interesting as we finally do these in person again and say, what do we know about 30 days from now, 60 days from now? It's a lot of, if we can jump on the conspiracy train for a minute, I watch just all these different points of view of, isn't it ironic that, everything needs to be closed down, like are the election polling places going to be closed down? That's only a couple months away,
Yep.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah. We already talking, my wife was talking about looking at doing like absentee ballot requests, just starting to do some of that stuff, just in case that's what it ends up coming to, but kind of getting the ball rolling on some of that.
Don't get me started. I just got our whole household got our absentee ballot forms.
Yeah.
And on the form, it says you can't request one unless you're registered Democrat or Republican, which I am not. I'm independent. So apparently, I don't know how that works.
They don't want to hear from you, Mike.
Yeah. No. They need to start putting libertarian on those things.
It's a party in Iowa. It is.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, it is. It's not a bad word.
No. Did you guys see that the aliens are real?
Yeah, I liked that on the news just this morning. Even one of the local, pop music channels I was listening to, I pulled out of my driveway and they were just talking about that, Eric, saying, you need to stay inside. You need to do this. We have the election coming in. By the way, we've known about aliens for 30 years and they're real. So just thought we'd let you know.
Yeah, I thought it was funny. It was just like, I saw a meme that it's like, this year's been so crazy. They just confirmed aliens are real and it barely made the news.
Yep. There's a lot of, I definitely think in my 48 years, this is the weirdest year ever. I've told several people that you can't make this up, that just like the famous saying, you can't make this shit up. This has been one interesting year.
Yeah.
Far from over.
Yeah.
So what are you guys seeing with the training industry down there at the shop? I mean,
people are ready.
All the classes that I was scheduled for personally to take till June have all been canceled.
Yeah.
People are ready, Mike.
Yeah.
You'll be busy this year once we get, we'll do what we want, but we'll be safe. I mean, you guys know that even though we've had classes that are a lot bigger than 8 or 10 we'll probably just stick to that idea this year is you're still several feet apart on the gun line and it's not going to be an issue. There's those that are willing to wear a mask to go train.
I think especially a lot of new people too.
There is a lot of new people that want training.
Exactly. That's a lot of things. That's the big thing that I saw. People that usually ask me, it's like, hey, I need to get a gun. Usually the next thing they ask is like, hey, where's the best place to get training?
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering if there's an uptick in private training requests this year too. Kind of.
Yeah, we do. You know how that is. If they're willing to pay for it to take into account, we have to rent the gun range, and there are going to be parts of private instruction because, in it, until they do it, some people don't realize what a great value that is, but there's a lot of people, I would say, along with your new buyers are people that are a different income bracket than me that say, you mean it's only $200 to go out for a couple hours and have private instruction? Sign me up,
Yeah.
So,
well, I think there's going to be a hesitance for people to sign up for group classes with what's going on, or like what the comfort level will be if people are going to be more moving towards private stuff, or we'll see. I know, so we've had to cancel the 2 casualty care 1 classes that we had scheduled last month.
Ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, that's a class where even wearing a mask or whatever is not going to, like, you got to touch people. So it's probably not great to do that right now.
Yeah.
What if I want to be touched, Mike?
That's personal.
Do you think you'll do any more of those half-day beginner classes? There's 2-hour beginner classes.
Yes. Like, and this year, I know Mike's going to say, I don't want to teach that. I want to be in it. Is, you know, in a way, and this isn't my personal, but in a way, shotgun training's kind of fallen to the wayside in the last, I would say, 5 to 10 years. And even though people can say, oh no, Gabe Schwartz is a huge fan and he's got a strong following and so does it. I'm just saying, as a guy that runs a gun store, hardly anybody ever came in and said, I want a shotgun class. But my goodness, now do they want one? You know, there's a lot of new buyers that, and they need one. They should have one, because no, you don't just rack it and they run away. And no, you know, it's not a gun that, oh, you don't even have to aim and you'll hit them. No, you can really miss somebody at 5 feet away with a shotgun. It is possible. So they need to know their gun.
And the different types of rounds that go in that gun and the spread.
Sure. That's the great thing about a shotgun, versatility. So Mike will be on the line with us.
Absolutely. I've, I took, you know, breaching stuff in the military, but I've only been to like one formal shotgun class in my life, and that was like 2 years ago. So I'm definitely up for some more.
We should bring Robin down, have him do one for us.
I haven't done a single shotgun class.
I went to Chris Fry's Shotgun 1 a couple years ago. That was a really, really good class.
People talk very highly of that.
We'll
have to talk to Robin, Mike, and get him to either him or one of his guys come down there and give us a.
Yeah, I'm sure he would do it.
Yeah.
So back to wearing a mask, Mike. So when is the supply chain of those going to get better?
Well, like I said, the N95s that I've ordered in beginning of February, they're giving us an estimated arrival time of like July or August. Surgical masks don't seem to be a huge issue. And I think they've diverted most things, kind of like Eric was saying, to the federal government, because I can get stuff through the county emergency manager, but through our normal supplier, we're not getting anything.
And there's more to than just buying an N95 mask, because they have to be fitted.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we all have to be fitted, and that's what I'm saying. It's all theater, man. I mean, when we go into a real COVID patient, and Ernie, your wife, and Eric, your wife, work in the same kind of environment. Like I went to a nursing home last Sunday for a guy that had shortness of breath. And in this day and age, that's like, you just assume, right, that they got it. And I had gown, gloves, booties, hairnet, shield, N95, you know, like you put on the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
And then you have to disinfect the inside of the ambulance. We got like looks like a little scuba tank sprayer that we spray stuff on the inside, and it's a whole big deal. And unless you're doing that, then you're not, I mean, I'm not saying you're not mitigating the risk. I'm saying don't fool yourself that you can't get sick.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're being safe. I've even just driving home or going by everyday regular, like, you know, driving home the other day, it's a couple weeks ago, but I saw an ambulance ahead of me and a fire truck had gone by. And then by the time I finally get caught up and go by, you see these guys getting out of the ambulance, and they were literally suiting up, you know, as in like the paper looking gowns. And yeah, they were slipping booties over their feet and getting the gurney out. And I'm like, man, what a pain in the butt that must be to go on, not every call, but every call that you have to do that. That's a lot of extra steps. And especially if you're the person inside that can't breathe, you're probably, you know, 30 seconds feels like a lifetime, and 2 minutes, it just in the time I was sitting there at the stop sign watching him get dressed, I'm like, that's a long time to go inside.
Yeah, I mean, and there's other things we're doing too. Actually, we're limiting patient contact. So, in the old days, 2 months ago, if you get a patient with respiratory distress or shortness of breath, everybody goes in, we give them some oxygen, put them on the cot, we, do our thing, right? We give them an albuterol treatment maybe or something like that. Well, this virus has changed all that. First, we don't all go in anymore. We send one person in. We see if they're about ready to die. If they're not about ready to die, that one person maybe puts them on a little bit of oxygen, but you can't give them too much because it'll get the virus to spray out. So you got to put it on pretty low. And then you can't give them an albuterol treatment because that'll also spread the virus. So we're not doing virus. So it's basically you're going to have to deal with it till you get to the hospital. Or if it gets really, really bad, we're just going to say, screw it. We'll just do what we got to do. We're not able to be as proactive as we were 2 months ago.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I believe it. JC, are you still alive?
I've got to ask permission now to intubate anybody, which was never. But yeah, we're just it's a risk versus benefit thing, right? You call the hospital now and say, hey, we got this guy, blah blah blah. This is going on. Should I intubate or not?
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting. There's when I say I know people, we probably all know people, but there's real life people that are within my realm of friends and stuff that are, in their 30s or 40s that are on ventilators, and they've been on ventilators long enough they're about to have the plug pulled. So it's real, and I get it, but it's the toll this has taken on the country. I think, we won't know the real effect for years.
Yeah, you guys don't follow this, and I don't want to get too geeky, but they're even talking about we're overusing respirators. They're thinking now that put people on ventilators is actually causing this thing to get worse.
Yeah.
Causing more deaths.
Yeah. I read that, even though it's over my head, some of the technical stuff, but like we all know there's a lot of knee-jerk reactions in the past when you don't know really what the perfect answer is. These answers at them, and sometimes, I'm not blaming it. It's definitely been interesting to sit back and say, obviously my wife works with Eric's wife at the same hospital, and things there. And I read articles about, hey, we need to open back up because you have people that are getting sicker or dying when they normally wouldn't have because they're a non-COVID patient, and now they can't get in to see anybody. And I've been reading about that all over the nation, and you wonder how big of a problem that is.
Yeah. The governor opened it up to elective surgeries again, which I think is a good thing.
Yeah.
A lot of money in the industry.
Yeah.
Or the economy, I should say. Not having elective surgeries that's amazing what that does to the U.S. economy just right there alone.
Yeah.
Let alone not being able to go to my favorite Mexican restaurant.
They can deliver, right? The DoorDash people are doing a great service.
Yes, I haven't spent less money than I normally do on restaurant food. But it's that's got to be a huge struggle. I've been so busy that I don't mean it selfishly. I've had so little time to just look around. I don't even go anywhere during the day. I work. I'm at the same place 6 days a week, so many hours. I don't go anywhere, but I can't remember what day it was that I actually drove somewhere the other day. I'm like, oh yeah, that place is closed and that place is closed. And I forgot all these places are closed because in my mind, everybody's just as busy as I am trying to stay afloat. Then you forget many of them aren't there at all.
Yeah.
And you look and you're like, how, you're looking at these people, small business owners, and they maybe haven't had any customers in 2 months. Like, how are they paying their rent? What's their deal? Yeah. Like, I feel bad for them. Like, what are they doing? Like, I just wonder how many of these businesses are not even going to ever open up again.
Yeah, I've been watching those numbers too across the country, saying that 25% of the businesses already will never open up, never come back.
Crazy.
We'll see if that's true. Well, are you guys going to go hang out with your family now? If we talked long enough?
Yeah. So I actually was going to tell you, because I got to get off. I got to get up early in the morning. So
I don't. Tomorrow I'm going to sleep in. It's going to be the first day in however long, and I haven't set an alarm. It's going to be glorious.
There you go.
But I will be up till 2 a.m. trying to buy inventory when it releases after midnight. So
is that when that comes online?
Yeah, I don't know. You've been doing a good job too, JC. When you're texting me at 1:30 in the morning saying they just got 13 of these shotguns. Buy them. Yeah, it's been interesting.
Yeah, I can't.
Well, now that I know how to use, go ahead.
So I said there's certain things that I keep jumping on there and checking.
Sure.
Stuff that I know that we're trying to get our hands on, and stuff that customers.
Oh, that makes me think. I'm a big fan of the CZ Scorpion because Eric's told me how awesome it is. But the Ruger PC carbine Charger or the Charger pistol, it's going to change the world, buddy. It's going to change the world.
See, I just want to buy. I already have that carbine. I just want that pistol front so I can throw on a pistol brace and just run it like that. So that's what I'll be waiting for.
Wait till you see this Ruger.
So Ernie, I've been looking for the side fold braces that go on that, and I haven't seen those in stock either.
That's because that's going to be a game changer. Let alone the CZ was already popular in other guns that would have that same Picatinny rail attachment, but that's going to be a huge deal.
Yeah. Well, because it'll take a lot of those SIG folding stocks when it's got that 1913 rail in the back.
Yep.
Yeah, I've been keeping my eye out to see if they have the 1913 rail side folding braces, and so far distributors have all been sold out of them. But yeah, as soon as they pop up, that's probably what we'll be getting.
I have some cool guns we need to get and do some videos on, John. As soon as we can get to the range.
Yep. Let me know.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Well, you take care of yourself since I haven't seen you since you stopped by with your dog. I got to see Mel, so that counts.
Yeah, she's famous. She's locally famous.
Locally famous. Well, you guys have a good night, and
awesome.
Hope you have an enjoyable day tomorrow, whatever it is you do. I'll be sleeping in.
There you go. Deserve it.
All right, we'll see you guys later. I'm checking out.
All right. Take care, guys.
See you. Bye, everybody.
Yeah.